Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you may be in the world, and welcome to this week's Gift of Healing TV. I'm Sarah Jane, your hostess, and I have great pleasure in welcoming our guest this week, Denica Carruthers. We are very much keeping our fingers crossed that our internet connections are going to serve us this evening, because we've had a few hiccups in our tests and in the half hour that we've been waiting to come live. So fingers crossed you will all be able to hear us and understand us. So let me start by introducing our guest, a native Bahamian, I hope that's right, from the island of Grand Bahama. Denica Carruthers specializes in helping women, young and older, break through from conflict to empowerment. She speaks the truth in love, through which she has been able to see many transformed, empowered, and enlightened in her 20-year career. The inspirational and life-changing perspective she presents in her consulting and counseling, which she arrived at by conquering her own life challenges, offers her clients and audiences a transformational view of how to grow through their trials and pains. Her passion is helping others to identify the barriers in their life that cause emotional, mental, and physical conflict, with the intention to bring resolve, empowering them to achieve success in all areas of life. Her clients and colleagues say that she is the bridge between your questions and your answers. She feels that her greatest accomplishment is raising 3 amazing children who all consider her to be their best friend. Denica, welcome to the program and thank you for joining us.
Hi, Sarah Jane. Thank you so much for having me. I started to get a little emotional when you talked about my children. I am definitely a mummy.
Oh, and that will help so many people relate to you. Denica,
Yes.
share a little of how you came to do what you're doing.
Okay, well, I was born in the island of the Bahamas. You did a good job of trying to pronounce Bahamian. I was born in the islands of the Bahamas, Sarah Jane, some 40 plus years ago. And even as a child, I always was concerned with being connected with people. I remember my father visited me in Houston, Texas in 2008, and we were out having lunch. And there was a lady sitting behind him, and she just started striking up a conversation with me. And so he leaned into me and he said, "Do you know her?" And I said, "No." I said, "But that happens. People just start talking to me." And he said, "Ever since you were a child, he said, and you would talk to the janitor sweeping the floor, or you would speak to the president of the company, and you treated them both the same way." And even when he said that to me, he validated for me that I was absolutely doing what I was called to do. I've always been very concerned about helping people to see the positive in their life. I remember even as a teenager, I would talk to adults when they were struggling, and I would help them in my teenage awareness to see the bigger picture and to see the positive in their situation. Because I feel that everything that we experience comes to teach us very specific lessons. And a lot of times we get caught up in the situation and circumstance to the point that we miss the lesson that the situation and experience is coming to teach us. And so I feel that when people understand that they are 100% participating in the outcome of their reality, situations, and circumstances, then they become more empowered to create their lives intentionally rather than living by default. And so, I just want people to be free, Sarah Jane, free in their heart, free in their mind, and free in their spirit to be able to live a wonderful life.
And I can totally relate to that. I think so many of us work in our own way to help people to achieve that. And it's helping people to find the right person with the right technique for them. And talking about techniques, for those of you watching, whether you're watching the replay, the YouTube video, watching live, pen and paper we suggest, because Denica's going to be sharing with us. It's actually going to require you to do some writing down. So I hope you're ready to participate in this. Denica, the program is called Let's R.A.P.P. The R.A.P.P standing for Rise Above Personal Perception. And I love the title. Explain a little of what Let's R.A.P.P. is about.
Well, I wanted to talk about perception first, and I want to give our listeners this quote. It's a quote by Gail Lynn Goodwin, and the quote goes as such: "Adversity can be turned into opportunity simply by adjusting our perception and our attitude." See, because the power of perception is very important to understand, because our reality is created based on our perception, and our beliefs and truths come from three different places. I always say they come from our situations or circumstances, our experiences, and also our conditioning. So one of the things that I have found, even in my practice as a conflict mediation consultant, is so many people have thoughts and beliefs and truths, because your beliefs are thoughts that you hold for a long period of time, and your beliefs create your truth. And a lot of things that people believe and think are not even as a result of their true and authentic self. It's as a result of things that they have gotten from the world or society, or through conditioning and their upbringing. And so, we get fixated on stories, Sarah Jane. And when we get fixated on stories, we repeat the same story over and over and over again. And very few people realize that they are in the creation process as they are speaking these things. So I say that your thoughts become your words, and your words become things or manifestations. So, for those persons who are listening who might follow scripture in any way, there's a scripture that says the power of life and death lies in the tongue. So, I've written a book, Who in the Hell Do You Think You Are? Are you the one responsible for screwing up your own life? Because I really believe that we have the power to create our personal heaven or our personal hell right here on earth. We can experience heaven and hell before we even leave this earthly incarnation. And so when people are able to look at the bigger picture, that's one of the things that I help people to do, Sarah Jane. I listen to their story. So, when they're saying their story, I see it as if it's on a movie screen. And then I very gently invite them over to the next theater. And I project a different view on the screen for them. And one of the things that most of my clients always say is, I never thought of it that way. But just a slight shift in perception can dramatically improve your life.
Absolutely. Have you ever had that experience? Oh no, not again. Why does this keep happening to me? Because we keep reacting in exactly the same way every time it happens. If we stop and we react differently, we create a different outcome. React and create are the same letters. We just have to change it. And this adversity, I was actually very honored to be an author of a book called No Mistakes: How You Can Change Adversity into Abundance. I was one of 31 authors. You can, when you open your heart and your mind to the positive. Somebody once said to me, you never know when you're being lucky. Some of the worst stuff can be actually some of the best stuff that happens to you. So absolutely, I couldn't agree more.
I want to touch on something that you said just now, Sarah Jane. You talked about mistakes. And one of the things that I always say is that life lessons come packaged in quote mistakes. Because I don't believe that there's any such thing as a quote unquote mistake. I believe that everything that happens in our life is very specific to our life path, our life journey, and also our calling. Because I feel that every person in this earthly carnation has a purpose. And I don't believe in looking at things as small or big. My choice is to look at everything as just being what is. Some people came in and they didn't want a whole big title. It's no different than an organization. Some people go in, their job title is janitor. Some people go in, their job title is supervisor. Some people have a managerial. The janitor might not be interested in one way or another of being a CEO or a president, but we all have a particular purpose. We all have a particular role. And what is very important, and what I do with people, is help them to identify what their purpose is, because it's very important that we know. And it's very important that we know who we are, because if we don't know who we are, there's no way we can know where we're going. So life lessons come packaged in quote mistakes.
And actually, as you said, there's no such thing as a mistake. But I've actually visualized life as like a mechanism made up of lots and lots of cogs. Some very little, medium, huge. Sometimes actually the smallest cogs, so the janitors, the street cleaners, sort of whatever, their role is essential. It doesn't matter what your role is, because in a lot of cases, the big jobs couldn't be done without the little jobs. Everybody is as essential as everybody else.
That's right. I am a firm believer in that, because even I'm a visual person, right? So I see things. So even as you were talking, if there was not a janitor there to clean up the floor, then everybody who walks on the floor is going to slip and slide. They're going to injure themselves. It's going to be a dirty environment. The energy is going to be off. So you're absolutely correct. And that's why, I'm a person, I really try to stay away from labels. Society feels a need to label everything, good, bad, indifferent. And whenever I say those words now, I do air quotes all the time. People probably are like, she's just air quoting all the time. Because, we put certain definitions and we put certain words and labels to things. And that's one of the things that I encourage or challenge people, even when it comes to perception. So because you label or have defined or identified something a certain way, is that necessarily what it is? So in that, I encourage people to rise above your personal perceptions. Challenge yourself, question yourself, because one thing about the truth, Sarah Jane, that I have found to be true is that one, the truth to be defended, and two, if it will stand even if it is questioned.
Absolutely, and it's perfectly said. I do want to, obviously, we could talk no doubt about this for ages, but I do want to come back to what the program is about. And I think it's essential that we've done this, because people have to realize that, we are coming from that point, that perception of not judging. I don't care whether you're a CEO, the Queen of the country, the Prime Minister or the President, or whether you're a cleaner, a janitor, I really don't care. You are a valuable human being. And I think that's very much what we're saying here. But one thing we sort of said that we were going to share tonight with folks is whether your thoughts are truly your own, whether your thoughts and beliefs are in alignment with your desired reality, and how to identify the wheres, whys, and hows that will lead you from where you are to where you want to be. And I am going to hand over to you, and I'm looking forward to this.
Well, let's start with whether your thoughts are truly your own. So, as I had touched on earlier, our thoughts come from three places. They come from our experiences, they come from our cultures, and they come from our conditioning. So, from the time that we're a child, we're told certain things. So, like for example, if you are a person who grows up in the Christian faith, then from the time that you are a child, you are taught about Jesus, or you're taught about Mary, or you're taught about the disciples. If you are a child who grows up in, say, the Muslim faith, then you're taught about Muhammad, and you're taught about the Quran, and you're taught about different things. And so these are the conditionings, these are the cultures, these are based on what you experience. And so your thoughts are as a result of what you have been taught, what you have heard from other people. Because when we're children, we come into this world with a clean slate. I say we come into the world fine, and then the world defines us, and then we have to refine ourselves. So, as we get older, sometimes, there are certain things that we have been thinking, or we have been taught to believe. And we get to a point in our life, I know this happened to me, we get to a point in our life where we begin to question, because it just doesn't resonate within. It just doesn't feel right. There's something about it that feels off. And so that's how my journey started, Sarah Jane, where, even as a child, when I was taught certain things, it didn't really resonate with them. But of course, I grew up in a very structured, disciplined environment, where they say children are to be seen, heard. So when you asked questions, a lot of time you weren't answered. Like my father would say, whenever I said why, he would say, why is a crooked letter? So you take on the thoughts and beliefs of other people usually, unless your name is Denica Carruthers, and you question everything anyway. So I was always a questioner. I still am a questioner. I feel like that's the way that we learn things. And in my asking questions of myself, because, I came to a place where I learned that everything that we need is really inside of us. The truth of who we are and the truth of our path and journey is inside of us. I started going inside and I started asking some questions. And I realized that my beliefs and my thoughts, a lot of them were not mine. They came from other people. And so then I had to come face to face with myself and decide who I was, why I was here, and where I was going on this life path.
Absolutely. And I couldn't agree more with all of that, because other people's judgments of us, saying, don't like you doing that, the smack on the hand, or whatever happens, and say, oh, right, that's not a good part of me, so I must get rid of that. You said we're born fine. I actually think we are born perfect. We are born perfect for the life we are here to live. It is all those outside influences that change us, because we are so young, that unfortunately we allow to change us. And it is only when maybe a wake-up call comes, or sort of something happens, that we turn around and say, no, stop. That's not me. And I'd like to know who I am. And the truth of the matter is, when we are true to our true self, it is amazing. The right people, those people who truly love us, won't leave our lives. In fact, they've always had a sense of the true us, and it'll be great for them to see the true us, to get to feel the true us and know the true us.
Yeah, absolutely. What you said just now, you said, I use the word fine, and you think that we come imperfect. That's a perfect example of words and interpretation of words, right? Which is how a lot of people get tripped up with things, because when I say fine, I do mean perfect. Because if I say, oh, that's fine, yeah, that's fine. I'm like, that's perfect, that's great, no need to change it, But the fine and define and refine, it's just a great play on words. But you're so right. I believe that too. And one of the things that I say is that I believe that we are perfect. Here we go, air quotes again, even in our imperfections. because I feel like everything is perfect, but we have a tendency to call things imperfect. But one of the things, or normal, like people like this word normal. And I'm like, what is normal? And who determines and defines what normal is? You know? So again, that goes back to the thought processes and whether your thoughts are truly your own. And, the second thing that we said we were going to talk about is whether your thoughts and beliefs are in alignment with your desired reality, because our perception creates our reality. And so that's why I feel like it's very important that we do ask ourselves questions, and, Sarah, everybody has a story. Everybody has things that they're ashamed of, or they're not proud of, or things that they'll never share with anybody else. And I tell clients all the time, that's fine, that you don't want to share it with someone else. But it's important that we get to a place where we tell ourselves the truth. So, even in my practice, I listen to what you say with your mouth, what comes out of your mouth, but I hear what your heart is saying. Because one of the things that I have found with human nature in general is that a lot of times the mouth does not speak the truth, but the heart always contains the truth. And so, I have the gift of sight. And so, I see things that you don't say, and I hear things that you don't say. And in that, I'm able to help you, because we have to be honest with ourselves. And I prayed a prayer many years ago. And I said, Creator, Source, God, I want to see people the way that you see them. I want to see them in their heart space. I want to see the perfected creation, the perfect creation that was created, because a lot of times we get caught up in the outward appearance and we totally miss the value that's contained within the person. So even when you talk about your thoughts and your beliefs being in alignment with your desired reality, let me give you an example with that. So in my upbringing, there was very much a lack mindset, a lack mentality that I was conditioned with. There's never enough money to do this. Money doesn't grow on trees. You're always borrowing from Peter to pay Paul. As soon as it comes in, it goes out. So this was a conditioning. So this was my thought process, and these were my beliefs. My beliefs were, everything is always a struggle. It's so difficult to succeed in the world. People are always trying to take from you and never trying to give to you. And so I got to a place in my life where I recognized that this struggle, like you said earlier, the same thing keeps coming back around. I recognized that there was this constant struggle, especially when it came to finances. Constant struggle kept showing up. And then I had to really go inside and I had to analyze what I thought and what I believed as it pertained to money. And so growing up in the church, you always heard that the love of money is the root of all evil, and it's easier for a camel to get through the eye of a needle than it is for a rich man to enter into the kingdom of heaven. So, of course, in my thoughts and beliefs, because the only eye of a needle I know is a sewing needle. So you look at a camel and you look at a sewing needle, and it is impossible for that to go through. So it was almost like this belief of impossibility to be rich and to be good, or to, attain righteousness, or, whatever label you put on it. But the eye of the needle that they were talking about in the Bible was actually a place that the camels had to bend down in order to go into. It was a very small space, but it wasn't impossible for them to get in there. But I had to realize that my thoughts and beliefs were not in alignment with my trying to create financial success and financial freedom and success in business. So I had to come to a place where I had to go right in there and say, girl, Denica, you might need to make some shifts here. And how do we do this? And so there are a lot of people who have the same issues, whether it's with relationships, because the only relationships that they've ever seen have been broken relationships, or disjointed relationships, or dysfunctional relationships. And so they find they can't function in relationships, but they want a beautiful relationship. So, at those times and moments, you need to have a heart-to-heart conversation with yourself and really identify how you are screwing up your life by your thought process.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I think we ought to get, I know we're talking about it, but I think we ought to get back to the exercise because of the time scale.
Yeah.
So that, because I love what you're saying, and I think I've no doubt that our viewers and our, you know, those that watch the replay, etc., will resonate with so much of that, and I hope that will make sense to them. And people who are brand new to this, hearing, and actually, I'm just going to say this: imperfect, I'm perfect; impossible, I'm possible. Never doubt your perfection and the fact that everything that is right for you is possible. But let's get back to this, the exercise that you wish to share with folks.
Okay, great. So I want, well, if we can, Sarah, let's close with that, because I want people to, even after this program has ended, I want them to really go into this. So I don't want to rush through this. So I actually want to leave this with our listeners. But I would like to make an offer for our listeners today, a special offer, you know, because if they identify that they're in a place where they really need some help moving forward, they feel like they're stuck in their story and they need some help moving forward, I would love to, you know, offer something. So, you know, if they want to understand how to harness the power of their thoughts and how to use intention to create their ideal life, how to harmonize their human and spiritual awareness, how to make room for growth and change that will result in abundance in all areas of the life, and if they want to strengthen their resolve and determination to consciously take the upward path, then I want to offer you something special today. And I want to invite you to go to Denica Carruthers, www.denicaccarruthers.com/I-am-a-VIP. So I am a VIP, and just put a hyphen between each word. I'd like to offer you something special as a, you know, as a thank you for connecting with me through Gift of Healing TV today. And then also I wanted to just mention my new book, Who in the Hell Do You Think You Are? Will give a lot of answers to a lot of those questions that people have and help you to get on track and understand how you truly are creating the reality that you're creating. Okay. So now get a pen and paper. We're going to do an exercise. I'm going to help you to just go inside yourself. It's important that you understand that everything that you have experienced up to this point in your life, both the positive and the negative, have helped you to become the person that you are today. Change requires a decision to move forward. And change sometimes requires us to reframe some things, our relationships, our experiences, our past stories. And being able to do this ushers in for you more power in the present, okay? So on the piece of paper that hopefully you have in front of you, I want you to write down a situation that you are presently dealing with that is causing you pain, that's causing you discomfort or disappointment, or making you angry or making you anxious, okay? So whatever you're dealing with right now that is causing any of those emotions to come up for you, I want you to write that situation down. And then next to that situation, I want you to write in big, bold letters the word why. W-H-Y, why, with a big old question mark, like this big old question mark that I have on the front, on the cover of my book. Because I have found that peace of mind comes when you are able to answer all of your own whys. So, you know, like I said earlier, we look for all of our answers and understanding outside of ourselves. But the truth is that all of the answers that we need, everything that we need is within. We just have to learn how to tap into that. Because you can be a victim or you can be a victor. The choice is always yours. So in answering the why, okay, before you answer why, I want you to consider how you participated in the situation. Because remember I said earlier, we are 100% participants in the outcomes of our situations, our experiences, and our circumstances. So in answering your why, I want you to consider how you participated in the situation and include that in your why answer. Now I'm going to ask you to refrain from making anyone wrong, okay? No one is wrong in the situation. Don't beat yourself or anyone else up. Don't throw blame. Don't get angry. We're trying to resolve the anger. So don't make anyone wrong because that lends to anger. Just allow every person involved to be growing and evolving just like you. Because remember, every experience that we have comes to bring very specific life lessons to us. This action step is about completion so that you don't continue to carry the story forward in a disempowering way. One of the things that we need to understand and recognize, Sarah Jane, is that a lot of our stories are very disempowering. And I tell people all the time, nobody can take anything from you. No one can do anything to you. Because when you accept that, you are giving your power away. You are allowing everything that happens in your life to happen. Okay? So at the end, what I'm going to ask you to do is give consideration to 1 to 3 reasons in which this situation that you're currently going through might actually be a blessing in disguise. Because what you're doing in that is you're changing your perception. You're shifting your perception from one that is negative to one that has potential. So what are maybe 1 to 3 reasons that this situation could actually be a blessing that came in the form of a disguise? I want to share a little story in that, Sarah Jane. In 2004, there were 2 major hurricanes that hit the Bahamas, Hurricane Francis and Hurricane Jean. They came within 3 weeks of one another. And when Hurricane Jean was coming through, I just had an intuitive knowing, a sense that my house was going to be destroyed. But before this hurricane came, I had met with someone who was, encouraging me to allow my son to relocate to the United States because he was a basketball player and they saw the gifting in him and they didn't feel like the Bahamas had the capacity to pull it out. So I wasn't really entertaining that at the time. But now these 2 major hurricanes came through and my house was completely destroyed in the second hurricane. And as a result of that, things started shifting and doors started opening. And my family and I relocated from the Bahamas to Houston, Texas. That was a major blessing that happened because as a result of that, my 2 daughters were able to follow their path and their passion. My son is now playing international professional basketball, and I am living the life that I want to. I am following my purpose. I am living my purpose, and I'm helping other people. So, major hurricane, house destroyed, that could look like a really, hurtful, discouraging thing, right? But there was a blessing that was disguised in that situation.
Absolutely. And I think what we have to realize is that there are times when doors have to close for new ones to open. Yeah, and we refer to them as doors, but it's life shifts, life changes. And sometimes if we don't make the moves ourselves, the universe will make us do it. And there's no 2 ways about it. I totally relate to that. Mine was a broken jaw, which resulted in 6 months of pain and sleepless nights. It resulted in me walking out of my marriage. I then got told I was going to get made redundant. But it was perfect timing. Everything came about beautifully. I couldn't see it at the time, but looking back, everything was in divine and perfect order. I was being blessed beyond anything. And I think from what you were saying, in spite of what, house destroyed, etc., you were also being blessed.
Absolutely. And one of the things I want to encourage our listeners today to do is, because they say hindsight is 20/20, right? So we're able to see things when we come out of the situation and we look back at it. This exercise is to encourage you to see the blessing even in the situation. Make a choice that you're going to step into your power even in the situation rather than giving your power away and allowing yourself to be disempowered. That is the joy, the peace, and the empowerment in life when you are able to be grateful even in the situation, understanding that there is something bigger that is at work here.
Absolutely. I really couldn't agree more. And I know you've asked this question, and I know I'm going through stuff at the moment, but I am totally, totally trusting. And so why is it happening? Because it's meant to me. What can I do to help myself? I'm meant to be doing what I'm doing. And the universe is going to help me take care of that. It doesn't mean I have to be inactive in the process. I have to be active in the process. It isn't a matter of stepping back and just waiting for the universe to put it right, because we all have to take action to help put things in place. So it isn't about inactivity. It's about trusting. And if there's something that feels right, go for it. Doesn't matter what other people think. Doesn't matter what's going on. Something feels right for you, go for it.
Absolutely. And in you doing that, in you searching within yourself, that's how you identify the where's, why's, and how's that will lead you from where you are to where you want to be, which is the third aspect of what we were going to discuss today. You know, like I said earlier, all of the answers are within. And I understand that sometimes it can be challenging to pull those answers out of you. That is why I do what I do. I have conquered many things through my own life challenges. And I can honestly say, Sarah Jane, that I am really grateful for everything that I have been through, because one of the things that I know to be true is we don't go through things for just ourselves. We go through things for other people as well. And, you know, it's a beautiful thing to experience sometimes when you're the student and the teacher at the same time as you're learning, you're teaching, but you're able to teach because you have learned, you know. And so if we can empower ourselves by allowing ourselves to go deeper, to understand what this situation and experience is really bringing to us, you know, for our higher good and for the higher good of everyone involved, you know, because what we go through is always beneficial to someone else, you know. But if you're struggling with that, because I do understand the struggle, hey, my life is not perfect, trust me, but it is perfect. I have challenges, but I choose to see the perfection in everything. But if you're at a place where you're not able to see that yet, and you need some guidance and you need some help, you need some clarity, you got a lot of questions and you just need answers right now, please reach out to me. And you can get in contact with me on my website, www.denicocarruthers.com. And like I said, I am offering a special offer to all of the listeners of this program until Sunday, 12 midnight Central Standard Time. So I think British Standard Time, that's 6 a.m. on Monday morning. And if you go to denicocarruthers.com/I am a VIP, remember to put a hyphen in between each word. There's a special offer there for you that I highly encourage you to take advantage of today.
So the third aspect, because we are getting close to time. Did you hear me, Denica? The third.
Yeah. How to identify the where's, why's, and how's?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I was just touching on. Okay. You know, if you're able to come outside of your story, if you're able to drop all the negative talk, if you are able to see it from the bigger picture, if you are able to ask yourself, how can this situation be a blessing in disguise? Or how can past situations that you've been through, that you're holding on to, that you're not able to move past, how were they a blessing in disguise? You know, it will help you to move from that place of disempowerment where you are right now, that place of being angry, that place of being sad, that place of being lonely. You know, Sarah Jane, a lot of people, I have a lot of clients who are experiencing that right now. There seems to be a lot of divorce and a lot of breakups in relationships that are going on. And, you know, people, they just can't get outside of the story, specifically women, because a lot of my clients are women. They can't get out of the story of how he just left me, how he just abandoned me. You know, they're not looking at the bigger picture. And I want want you to know that I know what I'm talking about, because on February 28th, right after I had finished my book, Who in the Hell Do You Think You Are?, my husband left. On February 28th, he walked out. So I don't talk to you from a place of everything is coming up roses. I talk to you from a place of I've walked through some stuff, and that's how I'm able to help people. But I made a choice, even in that situation, that I was going to keep my focus on the bigger picture, because I just finished a book. There were doors that were opening up for me, and I made the decision to say, you know what? If this happens, in order for that energy to leave, in order for me to step fully into what I've been called to do, then I embrace that. So this is how you get from that place of asking all of those questions, from a blaming place, because a lot of people, Sarah Jane, ask questions because they want to blame other people. They're not even asking questions for clarity for themselves. But if you're able to move beyond the story, move beyond the negative of the circumstance, then you're able to identify the where's, why's, and how's, and you will be empowered to get from where you are to where it is that you want to be.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I thank you so much. Sort of, it's helping people realize that you aren't sharing from a place of your life being perfect, but it is perfect, and you've come to an understanding. It doesn't stop us from allowing those human little bits in every now and again, the panic, the whatever, but we can pick ourselves up once we learn to trust ourselves and not look outside. And I love the title of your book. How many of us have heard that? Who the hell do you think you are? I know I have, and I think I can't believe there's anyone out there who hasn't. And it's probably as a child that you had that said to you, that just so took you back, and it was just like, oh right, I'm nobody then. And we aren't nobody. Our child isn't nobody. We of today aren't nobody. No aspect of ourselves is a nobody. We are somebody. We are special. There is no one more or less special than you are. And yeah.
But that's why I wanted to just make a correction, Sarah Jane, because the name of the book is not Who the Hell Do You Think You Are? And I want, if our viewers can see, it's Who in the Hell Do You Think You Are? Because what I want people to understand is, if you feel like you're in something that is not desirable to you, understand that your thoughts have led you there, but your thoughts can take you out of there. So it's who in the hell, very specifically, because we do have the power to create our own heaven or our own hell.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I want, the program's coming to a close. And, if anybody has got any quick comments, questions they would like to ask, please do. Please just type in. There's a place for you to be able to type in a question. We'd love to hear from you, or connect with Denica. I will put that website address on the website under Denica's mini bio, which is on the About Us page. I will do that tomorrow morning UK time. I will also put it under the YouTube video. Again, it will be tomorrow morning UK time. So please, it'll be there. If you haven't written it down, it'll be there. It'll be shared for you to be able to make the most of that. And next week we have with us Richard Ellis, and he is going to be sharing the heart of Reiki. So and as a practitioner of Reiki, and I'm loving reading his book, because the heart of Reiki is the title of his book. But that's next week. For now, I want to say a huge thank you to Denica. Have you got any final comment that you'd like to share with people?
Well, yes. Anybody who would like to get the book, I made it very easy for you. You can go to the website, whointhehelldoyouthinkyouare.com. And I just want to leave you with this one quote. Choose good thoughts. Because if your thoughts truly do create your reality, then choose the good thoughts so that you can manifest a good reality.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you so much for being with us. I know it was short notice, and and I really thank you for joining us. And I've just totally trusted that, and I know that it always hasn't been lip synced, but I've been able to hear you relatively clearly most of the time, which is great in spite of all the issues that we've had trying to get this connection. So thank you for joining us this week. I hope folks will join us again next week. And if you're watching the YouTube video or the replay, I hope you will also, and enjoy some of our other replays. They're all on our website, giftofhealingtv.com. You can catch up with any of them. They're all on YouTube as well. Thank you, Denica. Thank you, one and all. Love, peace, and light to you all. Namaste.